Okie dokie, that's dried. You can't tell a huge difference. I might put another little piece up here to where you can see it. But so next I'm going to add just a hair of color to my sky, and again I'm doing it with a glaze. I like ultramarine more than, I think I used cobalt on this before, and I really do like ultramarine a little better, mixed with a little Payne's gray sometimes. Again, I'm using a glaze because I've already got some color on here, so there's really no need in putting it on real thick since it's already got a good coat of paint on there. Just making it a little bit more bright on the upper parts. I am going to make it sort of an evening sun, so some of this is not going to be as bright. Like right here where I added a little Payne's gray to it. I don't care about going over my trees because I can still see them plenty well because this is a glaze. Okay, I feel like that's a little more lively at least. I'm going to use that little brush again. I kind of like the way that smoothed everything. That was pretty cool. I just love this. Look how soft that is. Wow. Okay, if I dip into a little bit of white, I can recreate those clouds a little bit, a little Payne's gray towards the bottom. Remember to always add a little bit of blue too as well, and you can even add a little more of that warm color that we had, which we'll do in a minute after that starts to dry. Notice how my brush is moving like this. I sort of raise it up and then touch down and raise it up and then touch down in order to have this round. If I did it round all the way, it wouldn't quite be the same, although some people do that. I do better if I raise it and hit it on the downbeat, so to speak, is where I touch the canvas. Just going to blend that out a little bit down there. And then without cleaning my brush, I'm just going to, and I'm going to dip into this color that I glazed onto it to warm up those clouds just a little bit. There we go, that's better. We can always touch that up a little bit more too, but I want to get to the sun because that's going to decide what else happens on this painting. I forgot I need to warm these up a little bit too. A little bit more. There we go. Okay, now I think I want a sun right about here. I'm going to put that on a little bit thicker to cover that little branch that's there. And I'm just going to go around it to create sort of a very light sunny circle. I'm going to need a second coat because I've got that other stuff underneath, you know. But this is going to let me blend it just a little bit. And then when I put the next layer on, I can blend it even more. Because I got to hide what's under there. But I decided I wanted my sun right around this area. I can move it just a little more to the left, actually. Maybe right there would be better. I'm going to let that dry before I put another layer on it. Clean that little brush really well. I'm going to do a little glaze over the mountains because these colors are like totally messed up. So I'm just going to sort of glaze ultramarine and Payne's gray and just go over my mountains. And then I'm going to be able to play with these colors a little bit more, but I just feel like I need to, I got like 4 different colors going here. I must have had my paintbrush in 2 different, in some different things. And I don't like the way that's happening. The reason I did this middle mountain first is once I get most of the paint off my brush, that's going to be a better color for the layer that's right above it. Most of the paint will be gone. And when I come up here and do this, it will be naturally lighter. And right here, it's in the sun, so I don't want that to be very visible because it's sort of getting bleached out by the sun. Let's see if that brush is dry enough or if it's going to mess me up. I did notice with these makeup brushes that you kind of got to make sure they're dry if you're going to use them for blending. Oh yeah, I like that. That is fantastic. You don't want to put a lot of thick paint into these to apply paint, but if you apply it with a different brush, you can just very lightly touch it with that thing, and it does a good job of blending. And then I can come in here and blend the bottom out just a little bit more to be the Smoky Mountain mist that you get under those mountains. And I'm going to clean my brush and come back with another layer. Get this layer. I'm covering my leaves because I'm going to do those again anyway, right? This is tying those colors together a lot better because they were sort of all over the place and sort of mixed in wrong. I can put lighter spots on these after it dries or highlights or whatever, but right now I'm just trying to tie it all together by using the same color. And it can get darker as you go forward if you want to, but the point is it's the same color. I had a little hill right there that I didn't have before, just for interest's sake. And I think this needs to come down like that. It's like it has to overlap something or it's not going to be right. There we go. That's better. Okay, got a little blender. I have a smaller blender too, but I haven't brought that out yet. I think the smaller one might work on some of these things. I'm barely touching this. I mean, very much a Bob Ross type touch. Just, how he always said, just barely touch it. I'm trying to remember the phrase he used, but maybe it was kissing the canvas or something. That's usually what I say. Just barely kiss the canvas. It's a little too much smoke right there, so I'm going to fill it in a little bit. Let your instincts guide you when you're doing this. You're fixing a painting, and you know that you got to do something different, but sometimes you're not real sure until you're doing it what exactly you want to do different. Once you get in here, then you're like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. Bring that color down just a little bit further. There we go. That's better. There's a little bit of texture to these, which is, it works for me. And I think I lost one of my ridges. I think it was right here. But really, you don't have to have that. You know, you could come on down further. Unless you're trying to paint a particular area of the Smokies. Sometimes they have little tiny ridges in the middle. That's probably what that was intended to be. Yeah, these front ones are a little bit darker because they're closer. And they're usually a little bit greener too, but we're going to add the green later. Just going to worry about adding the dark right now. I need a little glaze. No, that's still running. Okay. Thought I heard a click, thought my camera went off. I'm like, that's not good. Camera to go off in the middle of filming. Now that I'm in a bigger area, I'm able to do more with this brush. Now this is a bristle brush, so you know you can use a softer brush as well. I like painting with a bristle brush, but it's definitely a flexible thing. You gotta paint with whatever works for you and gets the effects that you like. Well, it's still a little bit damp. I'm just gonna put a little bit of shaping in here from time to time. I do want to get rid of some of those strokes, so I'll do that with this. Okay. Now while it's still wet is usually the best time to put in a little mist because you want it to blend in nice and soft. With the Smoky Mountain mist, sometimes you see something that looks like clouds, and sometimes you just see the little misty, you know, underneath, like a fog. But every now and then you do see actual little clouds sitting in the middle of a mountain. So sometimes I'll throw one of those in there, just like that. Again, doing little swirly shapes with my brush. Some of it is all misty and melted into the background, and sometimes you see that little bit of white. And then you can blend out the bottom a little bit. Okay. A little more mist down here. I think that needs to be a little bit lighter. There's a little bit of a pinkish background there that I don't like, so I'm trying to hide that a little bit. It's in those low spots in between the mountains is where this mist usually is in the Smokies. So when you're thinking about it, just remember the low spot is where the mist goes and sits. And that actually is cool because it helps the next mountain show up better. You know, because you got a low spot and then the dark bright mountain and then a low spot and dark bright mountain. So it really does make your paintings much more interesting whenever there's mist, which is almost all the time, which is why they call them what they do, smoky mountains. Now I'm going to put the other image that we started from up towards the top so you can see the difference as we go along. I want to put a little bit of that warm color every here and there to make sure that the clouds are reflecting that nice sunny yellow color as well. And this is just that glaze that I have a little glaze left over. Lighten the sky right there against the horizon a little bit. I think that was a brush stroke, I'm not sure. Oh, I got it, there we go. Okay, let's let that dry for a bit and then we'll come back and put another layer on the sun.